Burnout is a lack. It's a lack of energy. It's a lack of joy. It's a lack of feeling and emotion. A lack of life. It's like a lack of self. It's flatlining, nothingness. And then there's regular burnout, and then there's autistic burnout. And although they've got a lot in common, they're also different, and the causes can be different. When I was a kid, we used to use this term nervous breakdown, or the adults did, to describe what we now call burnout. Because I think the term burnout is a neologism, which is the official term they now use. But I think breakdown, in a way, is kind of a better way of describing regular burnout. Because if you think about a car breaking down, say you're trundling along, you get a puncture, like we did recently on the M62 just outside Manchester on a beautiful rainy day in England. And I do love myself a bit of rainy England. But you pull over in the lay-by, you call the AA, they hopefully don't take too long to come, the puncture gets fixed, and then you're back on your way. Might be a few readjustments needed, but yeah, the car's pretty much back to how it was. In real life, that would look like a temporary glitch that's caused added stress when you just can't cope anymore. You need a break, you need time out, you need days off, you might need a life change, because whether it's regular or autistic burnout itself is a powerful message, and we can't afford to ignore it. So with regular burnout, you might have to make changes. It could be temporary, like exams, stress, pressure, or maybe being overworked for a while, moving house, financial issues, something like that you can address. You might be having problems with work, career, stuff like bullying, hating your job, whatever. Things that change the way your everyday life and your stress load is working. And if you do have workplace problems, and suffering from stress or bullying or burnout because of that, I have a friend, Lucy. Hey, Lucy, who has an amazing YouTube channel called Lucy on Life. And Lucy deals with a lot of the issues of workplace stress, burnout, things like bullying. Very experienced, and honestly, you'd pay a counsellor a lot of money to get the advice that Lucy gives out on her channel for free, and she's incredible. So I'll link Lucy's channel here. Autistic burnout it's a cumulative, it's a cycle, it keeps happening, and if you're late diagnosed, like I am, it can be pretty severe. I've had a lot of burnouts in my life. I'm currently in recovery from the most recent burnout, but I've ended up in hospital, on drips, no idea why I'm there or how I got there, and find out I'd passed out and they couldn't wake me up. I got accused of taking overdoses, which I hadn't, and the tox reports proved this. I was just mentally and physically exhausted, and my body couldn't cope anymore. Because autistic burnout can have all the causes of regular burnout, but more. When you're autistic, you have a lot of challenges every day that a lot of people don't realise. And if you're late diagnosed, you don't even realise them either. So, example, my daughter wants to go to the supermarket. She will say, I'm just going to go to the supermarket. She'll get ready, get in the car, she'll drive up to 20 minutes or so to town, get the shopping, come back. It'll all be over and done within under 2 hours maybe. For me, that task can take weeks, maybe months to achieve. I have to think about it. I'll be thinking about it for weeks before. I don't go to the supermarket very often, and you'll see why. Then I'll have to plan it. I'll have to make all the lists, not just what I've got to buy, but which one I'm going to go to, how I'm going to get there. And that's continually having to change and be updated in my brain, to rehearse it over and over and over. And then when the day comes, it'll either be because I've completely run out of everything and I've got no choice, or I'll suddenly think, right, I've got to go now. It's now or never. But whatever it is, I've still got to get ready. I've got to make sure I've got outdoor clothes on. I've got to brush my hair. I've got to make sure my keys and the money and things. All these are big steps for me. Make sure my shoes are not odd. And then I've got to get in the car and I've got to face the traffic and all of the sensory overwhelm of driving to town and staying focused. And then when I get there, I've got to make sure that I've got to get a car park. I've got to make sure I can open all the car doors from the car park and I can get out easily so I don't have to panic about being squashed in. I've got to get in from the state of being in the car and driving to walk into the supermarket, remembering the bags, the money, making sure the car's locked, turn the lights off. And then you get to the actual supermarket and you've got to face the overwhelm of the lights and the noise and the temperature change and the brightness. And then you've got to find whatever you need and you continually check your list. And you're also like keeping an eye out around you, alert for anything that could go wrong. And there's the overwhelm of all of the stuff on the shelves and trying to find out what you're looking for, especially when they change things all the time. And having to read, I'm a vegan too, so I have to read ingredients and stuff. And then once you've done the shopping, you've got to get from the shelf bit to the checkout, and that's a whole nother load of stuff, you know. You might have to get in a queue. Which queue shall I go in? And then you've got to unload the shopping, and you're aware of people around you all the time, like, am I doing it right? And then someone might talk to you, the checkout person, like, oh, how's your day been so far? Do they really want to know? Or do I ignore it? This is a big thing, you know. Do they really want to know how my day's been? Do they want to know what I went through to get to the supermarket? Do they want to know that this journey started like 3 months ago and how much I've dreamed and had nightmares about it? Or do I just ignore it? Mostly I ignore it. You know, don't ask me how my day's been unless you really want to know. Don't ask me or start talking to me about the weather unless you really want to know. I mean, I'm really happy to talk about cloud formations and weather patterns, but I don't want to just talk about, is it going to rain on Thursday? That always reminds me of a Tony Hancock thing that my stepdad used to listen to. It's not raining in Tokyo. Anyway, tangent. So then you're at the checkout, you get your stuff, you finally get out of the shop, and then you've got to get back in the car and load the shop in and put the trolley back, and then you get stuck. Transition going from one state to another is really difficult. I get this thing like, I think it's called autistic inertia. And you're sitting there and trying to get into that next state, that next mode of being, like from sitting in the car that's stationary to driving home to a different place or to home, wherever it is, it's different from where you are now. It's really hard. I can get stuck for hours like that. I can get stuck when I'm still in the supermarket like that. I have done. So there's all these things that you've got to go through. And it's not just, it's every time. You don't really get better at it. I mean, you can plan it to make it better. And it's not just outside the home, also inside the home. Things like taking a shower, you know. You've got to make sure the shower's free. You think about it. What do I need to do? In your head all the time. Okay. Get undressed, find towels, go down the stairs, go into the bathroom, lock the door, turn the shower on, check. Always in your head, every step going over and over. And like for a shower, for example, I hate my body being half wet, half dry. It's unbearable sometimes. There's all of those transitions and the sensory stuff. So it's all difficult. And you can now see how all of this and then a bit of extra added stress in life can cause you to burn out. The amount of energy you need to do everyday things. But I said this time, I was lucky because I got diagnosed with AuDHD. Although it took 5 decades, it was very well worth doing. And I'm really glad about that. But like 2.5 years ago, I was working. I had 2 jobs, one from home and one outside the home, and I was trying to keep up with the house and garden and help with my grandkids, and my life's always been like this. It's always been a lot to do, and because I have got ADHD as well as being autistic, my brain can't tell my body to switch off, and my body will just go and go and go until it falls over. And I've had a lot of different burnouts in my life, as I said before. This time I started to get the usual symptoms, and I started to feel ill and sick, dread getting up for work. I was being bullied at work. That's another common thing for autistic people, because of how we are, our built-in sense of failure. We're a good target, our weirdness. But I started to get all these symptoms. I didn't want to go to work anymore. All of the joy started to fade out of life. All of the sensory issues became worse, like things got noisier and brighter and harder to deal with. It went on, and I said nothing brought me joy anymore, and life was a struggle, and I was always sick. I had sore throats, flu symptoms, all that kind of thing. And eventually my daughter, who lives with me, must have noticed, because they took me to the doctor, and I don't really remember much about it, but I know I got given a medical certificate and was told I could not go to work. I had to take time out. And the next day I tried to go to work again. Somehow I got to work, and I don't remember getting home. All I remember is like a week later pretty much going back to the doctor, and then a couple of days after that coming home and really seeing where I was at and taking notice of what the doctor had said, and accepting that I had to listen and I had to stop. And that's when recovery can begin. When you've accepted where you're at, that's when you can start to recover. As I said, it's a powerful message, burnout. In that initial stage of recovery, those first steps, it's very fragile. We're in a really fragile state. You don't want to break and undo what you've done so far, because then you're going to underline that sense of failure, this little cycle. You can't even do this, But there's a lot of roadblocks, and it's very easy to break that at that stage. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about some of the roadblocks that I faced, in the hope that I can help others avoid them. And one big mistake that I made, which I think was fundamental to my recovery, or lack of recovery, in the past as well. And people talk about self-care, but there is a time you have to realize you have got to be your own carer when you can, as much as you can, especially as an adult. You've got to be your own gatekeeper. And they bandy about this term self-love, but it is a thing. It's a real thing. You have got to look after yourself. It's tough, but it's also one of the biggest acts of love you can perform, not just for you, but for everyone who loves and cares about you. So, as I said, I'll talk about that in my next video. This channel is quite new. My channel is called Broccoli and Toast, and my name's Bobby. I usually forget that bit. The channel's pretty new, and I started off I made this channel because I wanted to help people like me, especially late diagnosed autistic people, because the challenges are different with late diagnosis. I wanted to keep a momentum going, but this video is like about 10 days overdue maybe, or I don't know. Anyway, I was hoping to make a video at least once a week, because I wanted to show myself that I could achieve something, and also to help other people, and I said keep the momentum going. But I also wanted to keep it real, and the reality is I've got this, still recovering from not only burnout, I've got this lurgy that I've had for about 10 days, and I've been completely knocked out and couldn't do anything. So yeah, this is as real as it gets. So if you are out there, apologies for that delay, and that's as real as it gets, I suppose. I lost my fiddlestick. People commented on my fiddlestick. I had a big orange thing and on a metal stick, which is designed to hold a microphone. But I think my grandkids were playing with the orange bit, like a ping pong thing, and I lost the black stick. Because it's black, and black things get lost in my dark house easily. My phone's always getting lost because it's black. So this is my original fiddle stick, which is just a branch that my microphone is fixed on with a rubber band, and it's got a little bit of foam over the top. And this is the one I had long before I had my other fiddle stick when I've made videos in the past. Yeah, so this is current fiddle stick, still works very well as a fiddling item. And actually I like this one better because it feels organic and, you know. Anyway, on and on. So hopefully I'll see you in the next video when I'm going to talk about the roadblocks and the things that are going to trip us up in those initial recovery stages from burnout. And as I said, there is one big one. So hopefully this might have helped at least one person, and I'll see you again.